Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Today we are going to read The Path of Perfection by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Chapter 2, Mastering the Mind and Senses. Yam sannyasam iti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. What is called renunciation is the same as yoga or linking oneself with the Supreme. For no one can become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Bhagavad Gita 6.2. This is the real purpose of the practice of yoga. The word yoga means to join. Although we are naturally part and parcel of the Supreme, in a conditioned state, we are now separated. Because of our separation, we are reluctant to understand God and to speak of a relationship with Him, and are even inclined to think of such a discussion as a waste of time. In a church or in a Krishna conscious temple, we speak of God, but people in general are not very interested. They think it is a waste of time, a kind of recreation in the name of spiritual advancement, and they believe that this time could be better used to earn money or enjoy themselves in a nightclub or a restaurant. Therefore, it is due to sense enjoyment that we are not attracted to God, and therefore it is said that those who are addicted to sense enjoyment cannot become yogis. That is, they are not eligible to participate in the yoga system. One cannot advance in any yoga system if he partakes in sense gratification and then sits down to try to meditate. This is just a colossal hoax. Such contradictory activity has no meaning. First of all, yoga means controlling the senses. Yama Niyama. There are 8 stages of yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Dhyana, Dharana, Pranayana, Pratyahara and Samadhi. In the 6th chapter, in which the Lord speaks of the Sankhya Yoga, he states from the very beginning that one cannot become a yogi unless one renounces the desire for sense gratification. Therefore, if one indulges in senses, he cannot be accepted as yogi. Yoga demands strict celibacy. In the yoga system, there is no sex life. If one indulges in sex, he cannot be a yogi. Many so-called yogis come from India to America and say, "Yes, you can do whatever you like. You can have as much sex as you like. Just meditate. I will give you some mantra and you will give me some money." This is all nonsense. According to the authoritative statements of Sri Krishna, one cannot become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. This is explicitly stated in the first condition of yoga practice. Pururukshor munir yogam karma karanamochyate yogarudasya tasyaiva shama karanamochyate. For one who is a neophyte in the 8 force yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who has already attained the yoga cessation of all the mental activities is said to be the means. Bhagavad Gita 6.3. According to this verse, there are those who are attempting to reach the perfection stage and those who have already attained that stage. As long as one is not situated on the perfectional platform, he must engage in so many works. In the West, there are many yoga societies attempting to participate in the asana system, and therefore they practice sitting in different postures. That may help, but it is the only process by which one can attain the real platform. The real yoga system, in its perfectional stage, is far different from this bodily gymnastics. It is important to understand, however, that from the beginning a Krishna conscious person is situated on the platform of meditation because he is always thinking of Krishna. Being constantly engaged in the service of Krishna, he is considered to be ceased all mental activities. Yada hinindriyartheshu na karmasvanusajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudastadochyate. A person is said to have attained to yoga when he has renounced all material desires. He neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. Bhagavad Gita 6.4. This is actually the perfection stage of yoga, and one who has attained the stage is said to have attained to yoga. This is to say that he has connected, joined or linked himself with the supreme whole. If a part is disconnected from a machine, it serves no function. But as soon as it is properly attached to the machine, it works properly and carries out different functions. That is the meaning of yoga, joining the supreme whole, serving in conjunction with the total machine. Presently, we are disconnected and our mental fruitive activities are simply a waste of time. One who engages in such activity is described in Bhagavad Gita as a mudha, that is rascal. Although one may earn thousands of dollars daily and be important businessman, he is described in Bhagavad Gita as a mudha, rascal, because he is just wasting his time in eating, sleeping, defending and mating. People do not stop to consider that they are actually working very hard for nothing. One who earns millions of dollars cannot really eat much more than a man who makes $10. A man who earns millions of dollars cannot mate with millions of women. That is not within his power. His mating power is the same as one who earns $10. Just as his power of eating is the same. This is to say that our power of enjoyment is limited. One should therefore think, my enjoyment is the same as that the man who is eating $10 daily. So why am I working so hard to earn millions of dollars? Why am I wasting my energy? I should engage my time and energy in understanding God. That is the purpose of life. If one has no economic problems, he has sufficient time to understand Krishna consciousness. If he wastes his precious time, he is called Muda, a rascal, or an ass. According to the preceding verse, a person is said to have attained yoga when he has renounced all material desire. Once we are situated perfectly in yoga, we are satisfied. We no longer experience material desire. We no longer act for sense gratification or engage in fruitive activity. When we speak of fruitive activity, we refer to activities carried out for the purpose of sense gratification. That is, we are earning money in order to gratify our senses. If one is virtuous, he engages in pious activities. He donates money to charities, open hospitals, schools, etc. Although these are certainly virtuous activities, they are ultimately meant for sense gratification. How is this? If I donate to an educational institution, for instance, I will receive good educational facilities and will become highly educated in my next life. Being thus educated, I will attain good position and I will acquire good amount of money. Then how will I utilize this money? For sense gratification. Thus, these virtuous and fruitive activities form a kind of cycle. We often hear this expression, a better standard of life. But what does this mean? It is said that the standard of life in America is superior to that in India. But in both countries, there is eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Of course, in America, the quality of food may be better, but the eating process is there. A superior standard of life does not mean superior spiritual realization. It just means that eating, sleeping, mating, and defending is called fruitive activity and is based on sense gratification. Yoga has nothing to do with sense gratification or fruitive activity. Yoga means connecting with the Supreme. Dhruva Maharaj underwent severe austerities in order to see God. And when he finally saw God, he said, Swamin Kritartosmi Varam Nayeche. CC Madhya Lila 22.42. My dear Lord, I am now fully satisfied. I am not asking for anything more. I do not want any further benediction from you. Why didn't Dhruva Maharaj ask for benedictions? What is a benediction? Generally, a benediction means receiving a great kingdom, a beautiful wife, palatable food, and so forth. But when one is actually connected with God, he does not want such benedictions. He is fully satisfied. Swamin Kritartosmin Varam Nayeche. Actually, Dhruva Maharaj initially searched for God in order to attain his father's kingdom. Dhruva Maharaj's mother was rejected by his father, and his stepmother resented his sitting on his father's lap. Indeed, she forbade him to sit on the father's lap because Dhruv Maharaj was not born in a womb. Although only 5 years old, Dhruv Maharaj was a Kshatriya and took this a great insult. Going to his own mother, he said, "Mother, my stepmother has insulted me by forbidding me to sit on my father's lap." Dhruv Maharaj started to cry, and his mother said, "My dear boy, what can I do? Your father loves your stepmother more than he loves me. I can do nothing." Dhruv Maharaj then said, "But I want my father's kingdom. Tell me how I can get it." "My dear boy," his mother said, "if Krishna, God, blesses you, you can get it." "Where is God?" Dhruv Maharaj asked. "Oh, it is said that God is in the forest," his mother said. "Great sages go to the forest to search God." Hearing this, Dhruv Maharaj went directly to the forest and began to perform severe penances. Finally, he saw God, and when he saw him, he has no longer desired his father's kingdom. Instead, he said, "My dear Lord, I was searching for some pebbles, but instead I found valuable jewels. I no longer care for my father's kingdom. Now I am fully satisfied." When one is actually connected with God, he is totally satisfied. His satisfaction is infinitely greater than so-called enjoyment in the material world. That is satisfaction resulting from God realization, and that is the perfection of yoga. When a person is being fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is pleased in himself, and thus he is no longer engaged in sense gratification or reflective activities. Otherwise, one must be engaged in sense gratification, since one cannot live without engagement. It is impossible to resist all activities. As stated before, it is our nature as living entities to act. It is said an idle mind is a devil's workshop. If we have no Krishna conscious engagement, we will engage in sense gratification or fruitive activity. If a child is not trained or educated, he becomes spoiled. If one does not practice the yoga system, if he does not attempt to control his senses by the yoga process, he will engage his senses in his own gratification. When one is gratifying his senses, there is no question of practicing yoga. Without Krishna consciousness, one must be always seeking self-centered or extended selfish activities. But Krishna conscious person can do everything for satisfaction of Krishna and thereby be perfectly detached from sense gratification. One who has not realized Krishna must mechanically try to escape material desires before being elevated to the top rung of the yoga ladder. One may compare the yoga system to a step ladder. One yogi may be situated on the 5th step, another yogi may be on the 15th step, and yet another on the 500th step. The purpose, of course, is to reach the top. Although the entire ladder may be called the yoga system, one who is on the 5th step is not equal to the one who is higher up. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna delineates a number of yoga systems: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. All of these systems are connected with God, Krishna, just as the entire ladder is connected to the topmost floor. This is not to say that everyone is practicing the yoga system is situated on the topmost floor. Only he who is in full Krishna consciousness is so situated. Others are situated on the different steps of the yogic ladder.
धरेत् आत्मनात्मानं नात्मानम् अवसादयेत् आत्मेव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुर् आत्मेव रिपुरात्मना.
A man must elevate himself by his own mind, not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Bhagavad Gita 6.5. The word Atma denotes body, mind, and soul, depending on different circumstances. In the yoga system, the mind and the conditioned souls are especially important, since the mind is the center point of yoga practice. Atma refers here to the mind. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from the attachment to sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mere signs. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।